Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you live in the United States, we had that last Thursday, and we're sort of coming off the weekend of Thanksgiving, and hopefully you had a great one. Today I have a tutorial for you how to make a domino book. So you use dominoes for the covers, and you have an accordion folded book on the inside. Super cute. I have this one. There are many ways to make it, but I have this one tied on both sides, and when you untie, then you can fold out your book. So just show you the cover first. We have glossy accents on the cover and a little bit of embellishing. These are just ribbon, satin ribbon ties. I put a dangle here on, I just attached it directly onto the ribbon. And then the back also has an image with the glossy accents on it again. So let's untie this and see what we've got. I'm going to untie one side at a time. You can actually do that. You can look at one side, tie it back up, and then look at the other side, or well, I'll just show you. Then it looks like this when you untie just one side, and then you can just thumb through those beautiful images. I had a theme going on this one, so they are little snow angels, and I did just a little embellishing, not much. I have some words. I splattered some paint to make it look like snow. I don't see any. Oh, here's one where I attached the little word wings on there. It came from a quote, and I just clipped it right out of the quote. I had a page of quotes or something. All right, so you can look at one side at a time. So you could look at the back side that way as well if you tied this up, or you can untie both sides, and to make it sort of a true accordion book like this. All right, so you've got 10 images on this side, and then you can also flip it around, and you've got 8 images on this side. So did just a tiny bit of embellishing. It shouldn't be too much embellishing, otherwise the book will there's not much room for it. And then you just tie it back up in a bow. I also did a little treatment, and we'll talk about that later, on the sides, so it wasn't just like a stark cream colored on that. All right, so maybe I'll just leave this open so we can refer back to it. All right, so there is my domino book. So what you need, dominoes. Any domino will work. I have vintage dominoes, which I think would be great. The surface area is very small. You can see it's a lot smaller than that other one. And this one is, I want to say ivory, but ivory is, I'm sure, is not what it is technically, but it's some sort of plastic resin type thing. And they're 1 inch by 2 inches, and they're 3/8 of an inch deep. So they make a very fun little book cover. And then this one, I put some alcohol ink around the outside edge to get started on that. This one, I used a very, very tiny washi tape with a little bit of sparkle in it, and miraculously, this washi tape has held up. I've had this for years, and I did have to, on the very end, I had to use just a dab of glue because it did start peeling up, but it's incredible how that washi tape actually stayed on there. So give that a try. And then alcohol ink would be the only ink that would actually stay on it. So I might, if you get too much or you don't like it, it always wipes off with alcohol. So just take a swab or something and just swipe it with alcohol and it will come off. I think I like this, but I guess we'll see once we get all the images on and stuff. Okay, so that's a little bit about the dominoes. I think there are different sizes, and whatever size you use, you'll need to adjust your measurements of the paper and the images. All right, so let's talk about images. What do we use on these? So you could make tiny little collages. You could use images sort of made for dominoes, and let me show you a few of those. These are all from Gecko Gals, and they have a really great selection of domino sized images. They call them jewel-it. I'm sure there are many digital designers that have images just for the jewelry and the cabochons, and I'm sure there are many, many. This one is butterflies. This one was reindeer. And I don't have a whole sheet, otherwise I probably would have used that one. I love their reindeer images. This one was all about butterflies. Once again, I didn't have a lot of those. This one is sewing, which I think would be adorable, which is actually why I picked the paper I picked. You'll see that in a minute. This one is Christmas. And then the images I used for the book I showed you, this book here is actually called Winter Blessings, and it's just ephemera, but I accidentally printed it too small, and I printed it portrait instead of landscape. And out popped these beautiful small images, and I just love that. So you can scale any images you have, you can scale it down under when you press print, and in your settings you can scale it down a little bit, down to 75% or whatever it is. You may need to experiment if you don't know your printer capabilities. So now this one is smaller even yet scale than these. So let me show you what I did. I had a larger image, and what I did was just cut out different portions of it. For example, this girl by the tree is this girl by the tree here, and see how this image had a larger tree, the tree branches up there, and all the deer, which is super cute. But all I did was cut out just the girl part, just enough to fit onto my dominoes. And so you can use anything. You don't have to, special order a jewel sized kit. But I do have a secret for making the images the right size. So I would recommend sort of, measure your domino, and then I traced my domino here, and then I measured it, and then I held up an image to see how much I would need to trim off, and or you can just know that about 1/8 of an inch on each side is probably going to fit on there. So do your measurements that way. So this wound up to be 15/16 inches by 1 15/16 inches. So, and that gives me 1/8 of an inch on all sides. And then I use a little corner rounder, not a giant rounded one, but this one makes really lovely. My sister Cindy just gave this to me. It makes lovely, just very small rounded edges. So round those edges. And then once you get it the right size, what I do, I make a template. So I have a template now of the right size. I guess you could just use this straight away, but I did an image first. I did an image first, and then did my template off of that. So now I have a template that fits exactly the way I need it on my cover. And then I'll hold it up to my image, and then using a very fine pencil, like a mechanical pencil, just trace around your template. Because if you just do one side, it might look lopsided. So this helps you center your image and figure out which one you want. And then I usually just cut the straight edges and then do my corner rounder. with your images. So just make a little template. It'll help you decide how you want your images. You don't necessarily have to do that. It's just, I found it to be helpful. And then also I would like to say that you might need one for your cover and then make another one for your pages, because your pages are going to be even a little bit smaller than your cover images. So that's just a little bit about the images that I used. I'm going to set those aside and making a template, which is really helpful. All right. So now the first thing on the book, we need to make you can make the covers first, or you could make the pages first. I'm going to make the pages first, and then I'll sort of decide from that how I want to make my covers. I think I'm going to do it that way. Thought there was something under there. Okay. Why is that so uneven? Huh. I don't know what's going on. Let me try to make that flat. You know, I honestly don't know what's the matter with my scoring tool, but it's very wobbly. So the page strip is going to be 8 3/4 inches long by 1 7/8 inches tall. That's 8 3/4 by 1 7/8. And it's a great idea to use double-sided cardstock. You don't have to. I've made them before where I've had to glue something on the back side. But it just makes it so much easier if you have a good heavy cardstock, maybe 110 pound, and double-sided. That way you don't have to worry about any further steps. You will take that piece of cardstock and score it. So we're going to now be scoring it to make our pages that fold back and forth, back and forth. So I will put all these measurements down in the description box. So the first score is 7/8, and then you're going to score every 7/8 inches across. So I've got 7/8, 1 3/4, 2 5/8, 3 1/2, 4 3/8, 5 1/4, 6 1/8, 7 and 7 7/8. And then you have the beginnings of your pages. Too, the pages don't have to be all one image. You could, for example, I started something here. Let me show you. I started with like image collage, image collage. If you have, you could do tiny little collage on each page. So whatever. You could put words, just words of affirmation. So lots of possibilities. So the first one we're going to fold up. Plus, I should say, you could make this any length too. Just make sure that you have an even number of panels on here. So score up and down in your traditional accordion fold. And I'm gonna go back and make sure to burnish these down. All right, so let's get these nice and crisp. All right, and that's our accordion. All right, So the next thing to do, I would recommend doing the corners of the front panel, or the first panel and the last panel. I would recommend doing the corners on those, but you don't necessarily have to do the insides. But I liked the look of that, like made it more of a frame or a vignette looking space. And so I take once again, my little corner punch, and then at every fold, if you want to do it this way, every fold, do the same thing, and then you'll have that, little rounded edge on each one. All right, so every fold, I'll just keep going, every fold, and then etc. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. And then do that along the top, do that along the bottom, okay? And then you will have this sheet like this. This one is craft on one side and green on the other, because I decided to use some wildflower images. This is another Gecko Gals sheet, and all these beautiful wild images. You will need 20 images altogether, because you have 10 on one side, 8 on the other, and then the two covers, the back and the front covers. 20 images, collages, words, whatever you decide to go with. You could make a long strip of words to make a sentence, and then when you fold it out, it reads straight across. So all we're going to do with these is just start gluing whatever we want to use on here. This one covers the background kind of extensively. I'm going to zoom you back in a little bit. You could make yours to fit with a little bit of a border. I did that here, where I've got, and actually I put this image up higher and see the border at the bottom, and then I put this image down lower, and then the border is up at the top. So I sort of did, just to make it more interesting, I sort of did an up and down pattern there. So however you want to do it. I've already cut a couple, actually, nope, I didn't cut all of them, but my plan is to do just image, collage, image, collage. So I am going to, if you want to make it look vintage, give it a vintage style, ink your edges. And I think I'm going to, what I'm going to do is put the solid ones on and then make a little collage. And I'll just take you with me just for these first couple, and then I won't make you watch me do all of them. So I did want to decide which one. I think I'm going to put this one on the cover. I really like that one, so I'm going to set that one aside. I'm just using Fabri-Tac. We just have paper to paper, so you use your favorite glue. This is super nice though, because it does not warp paper. So I just put the solid one on there. You may find you need to trim just a little bit. Look at that. Just need to trim just a tiny bit. Or it won't matter if you have made your images a little bit smaller. But my images, I think, needed to be bigger, because if I start cutting more off there, I'm going to lose some of that flower, so I decided to keep that. All right, now I have some wonderful little ephemera pieces. Look at how small these are. These are from Tim Holtz. Field Notes Snippets. Just adorable. Just adorable. All right, so now I'm going to sort of lay out a couple things. I don't know if I so much like the white border, so I might either just ink it or trim it and ink it, and like if it's too big, don't be afraid to go off the edge. You know, just cut it so it fits its panel. I'm gonna bring these up here a little bit more. So I do have some picked out already, as you could tell. So I'm just auditioning a few. Okay, I might do this and maybe okay, so I maybe we'll do a piece of torn paper behind this. I'm going to trim just a little bit more off of the, it's got the white edge. So just doing a little trimming. All right. The scraps from cutting that are so tiny. All right. Maybe we'll do just a, I think it might be fun to add a little color to this. A little bit more color. Looking for, I just rearranged my craft room, so I do have things a little bit out of place here. But let me grab, what color? Maybe I'll just do tea stained or something. Taking me a while to find something. In fact is, let me, oh, it was right in front of me, literally. So this is sort of an aqua blue color, and I'm going to, I think I'm just going to tear just a little bit. This is Kool-Aid stained. I can smell it. It smells delicious. Obviously very big for this. Okay. All right. I think that's good. Now I'm going to ink. Sorry, it took me so long to find that paper. That's so funny. Funny, not funny. It's lovely. It is so nice to organize and clean, but sometimes it takes a little getting used to. You could even sew on this. I would probably sew it before you glue it on, because we're working in such small, you don't want to damage the paper too much with all these little tiny pieces. Okay, so I'm going to put that there and put a little, I think a little, let's see, yeah, I think I'll put this little price tag on it. Also going to ink that. You could even put a little pocket with a tag. Fact is, what what I think I might do, actually, is do some fake stitching. I'm just gonna do that. I have a micro fine pen there. All right. And then I'm going to glue this down. Sort of in the corner, but don't overlap your folds if you can help it. You know what, I probably should have inked my folds too. Okay, I'm going to put this little tag right there. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll just put it at an angle. Okay, so there's 2 pages done, and what I meant by the inking is I'm going to ink the fold. That will help too if your paper decides to start cracking. That will help hide that too. So I think that makes a difference there. So we'll also ink the valley folds too. Good. All right, so I'm going to continue decorating. So when you decorate, do the one side with 10, and when you flip it over, just do the center 8. Otherwise, you're going to wreck your design because you have to glue these onto the covers. So remember, 10 panels on one side and only 8 panels. Don't do the beginning or the end. Do only 8 panels on the back side. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate this up, and I'll be back. All right, hello there. I did my collaging. There are 8 panels here, 10 panels here. Not all collaged. It has image with a collage next to it, and etc. So image, collage. So I used cheesecloth on some. This is a little pocket. So these tiny, this tiny flower and mushroom, they come out. Otherwise, it's just labels and papers. All my stitching, I didn't want to make the book any thicker, so my stitching is with the pen, and this side is pretty much the same. I did put X's on here just to show you. It might be a good idea so that you don't do 10 sides, 10 on one side and 10 on the other. You need to do 10 on one side and 8 on the other so that we can put it in. And then the valley fold should be first. So a valley fold will be your side with 10 panels, and then turn it over, and this will be the side with 8 panels, and that'll make sense in a minute. So I wanted to show you my pages, and I could have done these first, but I wasn't sure where I was going with my images, so I am going to do my covers next. I already picked out my images for that. So this one I had already explained that I did alcohol ink on the sides. Okay, just sort of gave it an aged or just a patina instead of just the solid cream color. And I'll show you how I did that. So I don't have a lot of Copic markers. Copic markers are alcohol markers. I do have some alcohol inks, but I just thought this would be an easier way. I don't have very many, but I had some colors that I thought would be good. This burgundy looking one turned out to be sort of a bright pink, so I'm not going to use that. Although if you mix it with other colors, it's fine. But and I'll show you how I did this to give it sort of that smushed, textured, crinkled look. So I just rubbed my marker. This is just packaging, just plastic packaging, and before it dries, I just kind of dabbed it and dotted it on. It dries out quickly, so then just do it until you're satisfied with your colors. You could use alcohol ink from the bottle. This I just thought would be less messy. And then I'm going to pick some green because I have a lot of botanicals in there. I do wish this green were, I'm rubbing and tapping both. And if you, for example, if I had way too much brown or way too much green, all you have to do, because alcohol ink sort of cancels out itself, so you would just need to just dab a different color on it, and it would sort of push away the color that you have too much of, the one you didn't really want. So, but this is permanent on here unless it comes in contact with alcohol. If you just take rubbing alcohol or the special alcohols they make to go with alcohol inks and just swipe it, it'll come right off. I don't know if it'll leave a stain behind or not, but I kind of like this side. It kind of looks like marbling or something. So anyway, I think that's good. Now I've got the sides all done, and then this can just get put away. And now I'm going to, I think it does not matter about the numbers. You can put those on the inside cover or leave them on the outside. I think I'm just going to put them on the outside as long as my image covers it. It's no problem. I'm just using Fabri-Tac. I think it'll have, I think that's what I used before. Hello, my camera shut off, but all I was saying is that I use Fabri-Tac to put the images on the Dominoes, and that's what I used last time, and it worked perfectly. Nice and secure, so that's what I was using for that. Now, the next step is to coat this with some kind of resin. I have Glossy Accents, which is what I used last time, and I know there are other brands. This is a Ranger product. However, my nozzle is not cooperating with me, so I'm not going to use that today. But I do have, the lid is off, so I don't know if I can show it. Ooh, I have to be very careful. It's DecoArt Americana, and it's called Triple Thick. And it's a brush-on kind, so I'm going to take my jar, my giant jar here, dip my soft brush in there, and then I'm just going to simply coat. I'm going to hold it at an angle so I can see it better. Just cover the entire image. Try not to get air bubbles in it, but those can be poked out with a pin, or sometimes if you tap it on the surface or sort of drop it flat on the surface, those bubbles will come up. Okay, so I'm trying to be careful just to get it to the edges and a nice even coat. And in fact, as I'm gonna actually, to get it nice and even, there we go. Okay, looking pretty good. And the directions on this say to dry it for 24 hours. So I did that just to sort of even out the brush strokes. All right, so that's it. So it says to dry it for 24 hours, so I will have to leave you. You can, I'll do this one off camera. You can, at this point, you can stick in little beads or a small button, a little scrap of lace, sequins or little half jewels. You can put little paper flowers, whatever you would choose. The way I'm going to do it, I believe, is I'm going to I kind of auditioned some flowers on here already. I didn't really like it. So for one thing, they weren't the right color. So I think I'm going to put some lace just sort of going straight across on the bottom. But the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to wait till this totally dries. I will use this again, just a light layer, and then I'm going to put the lace on top so it stays nice and secure. But I don't want to push it into the resin. Just not sure if it's going to ooze anywhere it's not supposed to. So that's the way I'm going to do that. So I'm going to turn off the camera. We'll let these dry, and then I'll come back and show you how to put on a closure and how to glue the pages into the covers. So I'll catch you in a little bit. All right, I'm back and my covers are done. I let them dry overnight and love the way they turned out. All right, so here's my book. I did add just a few little yarn fibers. The eyelash trim is very thin, has a very thin strand, and then it has all the little fun texture things that poke out that I was kind of going for that look. Just a little bit of added texture on there. Just added a few of those strands. All right, so before we glue these on, we need to figure out a closure. So if you want a double bow, you'll need to put a ribbon or silk on each side. So you'll, or just like one strand would go through here. Let me see if I can find a ribbon for you. So one strand would go on the back of this, and making sure it's long enough to tie in a bow. Okay, so you would do that on both the back and the front covers. I decided, so you can see it here. So both, the ribbon just goes right through. And this one, the ribbon goes right through. And then that way, when you fold it up, you'll take a front and back ribbon like this and tie it in a bow, and then on the other side you take the front and back ribbon and tie it in a bow. Okay, so that would be the double bow system. All right, I'm not going to do it that way this time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my twine. So I decided on this red twine. I'm going to sort of separate out the strands so it's not a thick bump here, but I'm going to take my strand and just put it out that side. So that, let me sort of put it together here so you can see. So I'm going to just put the one strand in the back coming off to the right, and then I'll be able to wrap. You can either wrap it forward like this or wrap it backwards, it doesn't matter, like that. And then I'm just going to have that closed with twine. So that's the method I'm going to do today. So I did. Well, that's too funny. The glue, I had refilmed this, and so I took these off, but the glue is still a little bit sticky. All right, so like I said, I didn't want there to be a huge bump under the paper, so I'm going to sort of separate the strands just about, 3/4 of an inch or something like that. All right, so I'm gonna glue that. So I am using Fabri-Tac. I did that on my other journal, Domino book, and I really love the way it held. So it stood the test of time. You could use your triple thick, your glossy accents. You could use super glue. A lot of glues would hold up well, I think, but since I had good luck with this, I just decided to keep it going. All right, now I have that all set, ready to go. I'm also going to make sure that it's facing right side up. Oops, I don't know why I did that. I started gluing the domino. I'm going to glue the paper. You guys are seeing all my mistakes today. Hopefully the rest of my day won't go like that. I need to get a lot of work done today. Okay, so spread it evenly, make sure the edges are covered, and then just go ahead and lay it down. And just push it down. The good thing about using the tacky glue is that it will dry quickly. The other glues I mentioned, probably you would need to let this set for a while before you could actually go with it. Okay, make sure it's centered, top to bottom, left to right. All right, and then the front cover goes on the same way. Make sure it's facing right side up. I was almost going to do it again. So these little X's that I put on there, you know, sometimes you think, well, I'm not going to need that, but double checks and little helpful hints are not such a bad idea, because I mean, I've sewn signatures on upside down before, so I mean, stuff happens. So this is just something little, very little you could do to save yourself some work, probably. All right, so get that stuck on. Push it, center it. All right, and then I'm going to just quickly fold it and take a look, make sure it's all going straight. Try again here. Okay, it looks pretty good. Yep. Okay, so that is the basic book, right? The basic book. I could be done at this point. I have a closure. Just do a little clip here. I decided to show you like one more thing here. And this definitely could have been done earlier and then let it dry, but I am going to add, okay, so what I did here was I took a little piece of lace, I put some eyelash yarn underneath it, or underneath this button, and I sewed the button on. I don't 100% trust, although, you know, these have stayed on without any problems whatsoever, and I think I put those on with, sorry, I was out of frame. I put these on with glossy accents. I've not had any issues at all, but I decided to go ahead and sew the button on that lace, but I don't really think that would be necessary. It's probably overkill. So I could use super glue to glue this on. I'm just going to use my triple thick on this. And what I'm going to do is, okay, so I just dipped my brush in it. I want to make sure I don't get too much on there. I'm just going to dot it on here a little bit. Just a very thin layer. It does not need to be super thick, otherwise we're going to have a lot of oozing. And I'm going to lay that right on. Okay, so now I have a little decoration on my cover. Set that aside. That triple thick, the brush washes with soap and water, which is super nice. Okay, so now I'm going to need to be a little gentle with this. It'll crust over pretty quickly and be fine. But I just need to be careful when I wrap because this is not dry yet. But I wanted to show you how simple that was. Just brush a little not brush the super glue, but either just tap a little super glue on there or your triple thick glossy accents. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap to the back and come around like this. And see how it stays together. and I just love the look of that twine on there. So what I thought I would do is just clip. I have one of these, I think this is a tiny clip from Tim Holtz. I got this in Happy Mail. I've always wanted to buy them, but I have to get that when Tim Holtz goes on sale, and I just haven't come across it yet. But so what I'm going to do is clip this. So I'm going to get the twine in there, the wrapping twine, and then I'm just going to clip it over like that. And then I thought, I pulled this out for this reason, but I thought since this is sort of like weird looking and not hanging down nicely, what I thought I would do, and this is twine, I'm going to have to tie a knot in the end, but first I thought I would try putting a little charm on the bottom. Whoops. Make sure all the layers get in there. Oops, still not doing it. This little charm was in Happy Mail too, and I love everything I got in that Happy Mail. It was so lovely. Alright, so what I'm doing, sorry you can't see me very well there. There we go. So I'm going to try hanging that down. Just tie a little knot, and then I'll need to tie a knot in the twine to keep it from raveling. I don't know if I'm totally happy with that, but I think I'll keep it for now. I keep going out of frame a little bit because when you're zoomed in, it's hard to focus on the one spot. Alright, so not sure I'm 100% happy with the key. I don't know. It's not too bad, right? And I like the clip idea. So there you have it, guys. That is how to make a little domino book. I love these. Years ago, I saw some pictures of domino book, and I'm like, what? To me, it was like perfect. It's tiny, it's chunky, all the good things, right? So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you make some, join our Facebook group and post some photos. We'd love to see that. So thank you for joining me today. Stay well, and I will leave our links down below where you can find us. Take care, everybody. Bye.